So welcome to today's video. This is the last video in the manganese family. So after this we will be starting with a new color group or family. And today we are taking a look at manganese grays and blacks. We have three different pigment: PBk14 manganese dioxide, PBk26 manganese ferrite black, or also known as spinel black, and PBk33 iron manganese oxide. All of those pigments are super rare, hardly to get, and most of them are only available from handmade artisans. There are not many brands offering any of those pigments, so the information I could gather on the internet is not very much. Because, like always, if the pigments aren't used in watercolor or in other art medias, then the rarer they are, the less information you get about them. We will be starting with the PBk14 manganese dioxide. There isn't any brand I know offering this pigment. Mine is from a handmade artisan. It is also known as pyrolusite or soft manganese ore. The chemical formula is Mn for manganese and O2 for dioxide. It can be prepared synthetically from manganese ores or found naturally in pyrolusite or polyanite or haussmannite and brownite. Those of you who have watched my Manganesebrown video will also have heard in the past from haussmannite and brownite. It is a fast drying pigment like all the manganese pigments, therefore it is excellent as an underpaint in oil or acrylics, because of course it is easier to use a color which dries a lot faster, so you can start your painting a lot faster than if you have to wait a few days to really get it dry completely. It is, like all manganese pigment, slightly toxic. I have read in one pigment database that it is a warm black with yellow undertones. I can't really say this because mine is, like I said, from a handmade brand. They call it Manganesegrey, which is very fitting because it is more a gray than a black, and it glitters. It is not super strongly, but it does visibly glitter. So yeah, this is definitely a thing which probably not all of you will like. It reminds me a little bit of a graphite gray. Some brands do offer a graphite gray, which sometimes also sparkles a little bit. So yeah. What I found interesting is that one database has written that it is moderately toxic by ingestion and highly toxic by inhalation. So probably the pigment powder, if you are preparing a paint, is more toxic if you inhale it. That I found interesting. I would have thought that it is equally toxic, but yeah, it says it isn't. So the next pigment is the PBk26. This is the only pigment offered by two different brands at the moment. We have Rembrandt and My Merry Blue. The first one I'm swatching is the Rembrandt version. It is spinel gray. So PBk26, like I said, it is manganese ferrite black, or also called spinel black. Like I said, the version here from Rembrandt is called spinel gray, not black. And the next one we will be swatching is the second brand, My Merry Blue. That's an Italian brand, and it is called Neutral Tint. And it is probably the only neutral tint I know which is a single pigment color, because normally neutral tints are always mixes. At least I don't know any other brand offering a single pigment neutral tint. The pigment itself is also known as the blackest black, or better said, the natural version of the blackest black. It is lightfast in all media, evenly non-reflectant across the spectrum, also therefore called true black because it reflects virtually no color, or better said, no light. Made by calcinating at high temperatures mixes of oxides of ferrous iron and ferric iron and divalent and trivalent manganese in different amounts to create a crystalline spinel matrix. It is resistant to heat, light and weather. I could guess that therefore it is similar to the manganese browns, which are used in coatings, industrial coatings for steel, for example. I could guess that probably this pigment is used or can be used similar because of those properties. The deep black comes from ferrous or ferric iron mixtures with manganese and can be diluted to a huge range of neutral grays. That could be the reason why Manganeseblue chooses it for their neutral tint. So I have a third version of this pigment, and it is called Spinel Black, and it is also a handmade one. And the interesting thing here is that the versions from Rembrandt and Manganeseblue don't granulate here. But normally manganese pigments are granulating pigments, and the Spinel Black here from the handmade brand, it is the same pigment, it's all PBk26. It does granulate. So I guess that Rembrandt and Manganeseblue somehow probably milled it especially fine to get rid of the granulation property of the pigment. And I think you already can see that there is a slight difference in the color hue from the Rembrandt and the Manganeseblue one. So the Manganeseblue one is a little bit more a neutral a gray, a black, so as the Rembrandt version feels a little bit more cooler, more like a little bit more bluish. Not really bluish, but like a hue towards bluish. And then there is the handmade one, which is completely different because it is like pitch black. It's so different to the other ones, and you really can feel and see these non-reflecting properties in mast tone, which is, if I'm honest, a little bit confusing sometimes because you are so not used to this from all the other black pigments or mixes you know in watercolor, that it is really something else, super special. And when I've bought it, I thought, especially if it is adult coloring or an artwork where you say you want to have a really true deep black background to get your drawing or coloring pop more from the paper, I could guess that would be an awesome black to use for that, just because it is so non-reflective and pitch black. yeah, very, very unique. So the last color is the PBk33 iron manganese oxide. It is called here manganese black because it is from the same handmade brand which also done the PBk14 Manganesegrey. And therefore probably they couldn't name it Manganesegrey as well because it is more like a dark gray than a black, to be honest. But yeah, so the PBk33 is a mixed oxide of manganese and iron, stable in acids and alkalis, and in high temperatures. It has excellent light fastness and is compatible with all other pigments. It is opaque and weather stable. So same properties here as well. The opaqueness is something all the manganese pigments have more or less. So we always have a semi-transparent to opaque in all the manganese colors. It was used in ancient times in glassmaking for removing color matter like manganese brown. Manganese dioxide, Mn for manganese, O2 for the oxide dioxide, can be found in nature in the mineral pyrolusite, similar compositions as other manganese blacks. It was used in European oil painting since the 19th century, and black pigments containing manganese were found in Etruscan, so in super old artwork, and in prehistoric artworks, for example in the very famous cave in France. I'm sorry if I butchered the pronunciation here, Lascaux, which contains one of the oldest artworks in history. They are over 17,000 years old. The ideal formula of it is Fe2, ferrum 2, Mn, manganese, O for oxide. It is an inorganic synthetic pigment, synthetic mixed manganese oxides with a minimum of 58% of iron oxide. So it seems that you have to at least to mix in 58% of iron oxides to get to the pigment. Yeah, and like I said, in those famous cave and in Etruscan artworks, we have already found black pigments containing manganese. So manganese pigments, or especially in this case manganese gray and blacks, is something yeah, we have since humans do make art. So those are definitely some of the oldest pigments we have, in combination to other pigments found in the earth, like for example iron oxide, pigments like ochres and pigments like that. Those are definitely pigments found in the oldest artworks we have in our human history. So we can say those are partly historical pigments as well, because we do find in a lot of different places in the world, over many different areas, black or dark gray pigments containing manganese. So yeah, I do hope that you could, I tried to catch the glitter effect, but I fear the camera doesn't really get it. Like I said, it is more on the subtle side. It is not super strong, but you definitely have a little bit of glitter. I think especially now here, if you see all of those colors next to each other, you can see the three handmade ones, the granulation effect, especially in the last one, which granulates the most. And you also can see those pitch black area in the mesh tone of the spinal black in the handmade one compared to all the others. It just looks deeper, darker black than all the others. So yeah, it is really something else. Never have seen such a black from any other brand or any other pigment so far. So yeah, I guess you can definitely use something like that to for a lot of awesome things. And yeah, also there you can see that this version is completely different in the color shade to the Rembrandt and the My Mary Blue one, for example. And also that the Rembrandt and the My Mary Blue one has a slightly different shade of black as well. So yeah, I really hope that even if the video is a little bit shorter than normal because of the lack of colors offered with those rare pigments, and of course because they are rare in art, we have not a lot of information I could find and share with you, but I do hope that it is still was informative and helpful and interesting for you. As always, a thumbs up or a follow is very much appreciated, because it really helps me in the channel so much. So thank you everyone who leaves a follow or a thumbs up. And I hope you have enjoyed the video, and hope we see each other soon in another video. And I would absolutely love to hear your opinions on those rare blacks and grays, because most of them I haven't ever seen you, in any other channel. There are not a lot of information and therefore not a lot of opinions on those pigments, so I would absolutely love to hear yours. So yeah, would love to hear your opinion in the comment section, and I hope you have a wonderful day, and yeah, see you soon. Bye bye, and take good care of yourself, please.